And welcome to the No Assembly Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing and have been doing so pretty much every week this year. And so as we stride forward into 2021, hoping for the best, here is your trio of hosts that we know you love so much. Starting with Audrey Spanking New Year Ember and Romina 7.0. And of course, your favorite Dark Lord of the interwebs, ushering you into the next year, Roberto Blake. Welcome to the No Assembly Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Please like and subscribe.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I think I outdone myself.
That was good for short notice.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I'm hoping that because I'm on the 7th iteration that I've got stuff figured out.
Wait, why the 7th?
It's an AOL reference.
Oh.
Before your time, sweet summer child.
And that also confirms that I don't have things figured out.
Also, you could even take it as a 7 of 9 reference because you're a Trekkie.
Right. Yeah. Which is how I choose to take it.
People wouldn't think I know about that. People don't think I'm about that life.
People don't think you're about a lot of things.
Oh, do tell. Do tell. That's an interesting segue.
Well, I mean, now you kind of worked on that this year, I feel like, just kind of opening up with like your interests and things like that. Because it's a little like, I mean, you've definitely been private with your personal life and your interests. But I think you've opened up more this year where people are aware of the fact that you are about that life, so to speak. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah,
I'd like to think having yet another YouTube channel and also doing yet another podcast. I've been more consistent on this podcast with you guys than I have been on my own. We literally have done more episodes of this podcast than I've done of my podcast over the last 3 years.
Well, that's because
Wow.
we yell at you incessantly until you show up.
We
Yeah,
all
you
keep
hold me
each other
accountable.
accountable.
Hold me accountable.
You know what I told Audrey? I was like, he's probably taking a bath right now, drinking wine and eating cheese, and he has completely oblivious to the idea.
Do you realize how amazing that would be? Do you realize how amazing that would be?
I mean,
There's
that's what I
still
was.
time.
Yeah, what do you mean? There's still he's
Like,
in
you
the
could
middle
do
of a
that
podcast right now.
Like later, dude. Like,
Do you
there's
realize
still
that that's
time
like
to-
some straight up self-care goals right there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you not do that often?
No, I do
Bad
soak
with
in
wine
like
and cheese?
I do soak in my because I think I showed you guys.
Every
I think I
day.
showed you guys that like my bathroom has like a hot tub with the thing.
Yeah, with like the jet things.
Yeah, and it's really good for me for my back. It's like
See,
it's really
Audrey's
good.
laughing,
Maybe
but
this
like
could
this
be
is-
one of your New Year goals to make this a regular thing.
Do you not
I don't-
do you not do this often? What's your personal care routine? Let's talk about spa day for Roberto.
Well, spa day for Roberto once upon a time would have been. I haven't done this in forever. I haven't done it forever. Even before COVID, I didn't like actually not out of not wanting to splurge, but literally out of I can't be bothered, and not even hustle. So it's like no, I was like I gotta drive I'd have to drive in Atlanta traffic to go do da 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 da. You see what I'm saying? It's like so. I did not. But the thing is, I had made a plan, and I had done this before. I'd made a plan that, like, and my goal was whenever I travel, back when travel was a thing. Do you remember that?
What?
The goal was to, because most of these hotels where they have the conferences at or where they have the speakers at, like, have, like, spas, and you can actually set up and you can do a spa day. So the thing is, back when, travel and conferences and events and public speaking was a thing, my plan, and last time I like really did it, was my plan was to, as long as I'm traveling, I could go ahead and give myself a spa day.
Right. Okay, I see.
But now
So
I
you
can't do
used-
that.
Since
So
you're about
you
to
use
hit
travel as an
500K.
excuse. Oh yeah,
could be
is
your
that going to be your
excuse.
celebration
It's
once
your
you hit 500K?
celebration.
How close are you right now?
Bath with
I'm
wine.
I'm at 499,922 subscribers as we speak.
Guys,
So
you gotta go subscribe.
22 is the last number?
Yeah.
So you've got less than 80.
Yeah.
So you're like there.
I'm like right there.
I mean, that's gonna happen like in the next 24 hours.
Yes.
48 hours if people get too drunk.
No, it's gonna happen before the shining new year, as long as like no one cancels me.
Just going backwards. That would be so sad. So close, but so far. Well, actually, I guess it's better before than after you cross 500.
Guys, I mean, you kind of
down.
No, I
make
would
it
say
seem
like that's the
outlandish,
thing I
but-
would be concerned about is like I would cross that and then someone would just to F with me.
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen.
Didn't that happen? Like, was it Charlie D'Amelio or something?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
No, it was James Charles. Well, no, she was close to a million. Like, oh, wouldn't it be great to like hit 100 million or wherever her number was? No, sorry, 10 million or what? Or is it 10 or is it 100?
It was
No, it was 100 million. Yes, that's so absurd. But it's TikTok. It's TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, 100 million in a year after hitting a million. She wanted the story, and I'm like, was the 99 million not enough? Like, I don't think that should have been such a like big deal. I don't think she was being ungrateful or a spoiled brat. I just think it was like, you got to understand that like, yeah, being an influencer would be a different thing. And so you'd have different things that mean different things to you. It's not that much different than things mean different things to you when you get older. When you get older, you have different goals, different things, different aspirations. So somebody who has a different career is going to have different milestones and goalposts that they look forward to. And it doesn't mean they're ungrateful for the things they have that other people don't have. It's just that things are going to hit different for them. That's all. That's all.
It's a cool thing to be able to say that I went from 1 million to 100 in a year. Like that's just,
who would not want that story?
Exaggerating and trying. That's the thing with like Charlie. It's people nitpick literally everything she does. I feel bad sometimes.
It's because
And
she's
she
so
literally
big
takes
that
it.
they.
So like
She's so big that they feel like they have the right to punch up, and there should be like no consequences. And if you defend anybody, you're an apologist, or you're a simp, or you're a this, or you're a that. It's like you can't literally just have an opinion that, hey, I disagree with you, and here's my reasoning, and it's based in logic, or it's how I feel about it. I see it differently than you. You can't literally disagree with somebody without your disagreement now begetting you a label.
Yes.
Right. So anyway, let's go back to 500K.
I was about to transition.
Wait. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll allow you.
No, but we should keep talking about 500K. But I was gonna pull Romina.
Did you guys know that I never believed that? Did you guys know that I've literally in live streams and in milestone videos like outrightly have said for years that like it's not possible like for my channel to get to 500K. That would be like the absolute upper limit of what's possible for my channel and for my brand. That I said that
Wrong.
I think I've said that on this podcast before at the beginning of the year or something.
You were wrong.
Roberto was wrong.
I've been known to be. Here's the thing.
I'm kidding.
I've been known to be wrong,
I'm kidding.
but
What?
the thing is, I've been known to be wrong. But if I'm wrong, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I win either way. Well, I win either way. Or two, it's like, if I'm wrong because I'm being cynical, you better hope like we'd rather I'd be wrong, you know? So like, again, like I said, I'll either be proven right or I will profit from being wrong. Like I will either be proven right. So my reward is I get to gloat and be sarcastic for anybody who can't read sarcasm or context here. Like, so, I'm like, but it's also true. I'm like, okay, I'm right. So I get to gloat or like, so there's that.
You know, gloat is
I'm
only one letter
wrong.
away from. Sorry, go ahead.
From goat. Or I'm wrong and it still works out for me. Either way.
Either
Wow.
way.
I think this proves their point.
Anyone who disagrees with Roberto, guys, if you're just
No, you
listening
can
to this
disagree with me.
podcast, no, all right. If this is a segue. If you guys are only listening to this, you're missing out on maybe like a third of the entertainment, which is tuning in
Damn it.
live with us, usually every Thursday at 8 p.m. ish Eastern Standard Time. Today we're recording this live on a Wednesday, but that's why you should subscribe to us so that you find out when we're doing these random scheduled episodes because of holidays.
Indeed.
But speaking of subscribing, going back to the 500K thing,
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel grateful and I feel pumped.
Why is that funny? This is a good question.
No,
What's the matter with
I feel very flattered. I feel very flattered, like, because I didn't really like. A lot of people have subscriber goals and they want to like get 1 million subs, or they want 500,000 subs, or they want 10 million subs, or they want whatever. Like Mr. Beast wants all the subs. Like Mr. Beast wants to be the biggest, the best, and he's obsessed with YouTube. And like, but I've never been obsessed with YouTube. It's not the thing. People think it's the thing I'm most passionate about, and you guys know me well enough to know better. But I'm happy and grateful and humbled for the support that 500 subscribers represents, because it means something differently to me. My subscriber goals, beyond challenging myself to just see, could I make content that resonated and hit with people? My subscriber goals after 100K, I didn't really have any. And 100K was bittersweet, and I've never really beyond celebrating with my community and more for my community of like, hey, we built a dope community, and you guys help me with the content ideas, and you guys are supportive of me, and you keep me coming back and making cool things for you. And by the way, thanks D, I really appreciate you. D Nimmin in the house. Definitely make sure you're checking out D Nimmin, the master of mobile content creation. If you want to make content on your phone. So shout out to the homie. But for me, 100K was bittersweet, and I think you guys remember me telling this story before. Is the year that I got 100K subscribers, the same summer that I got 100K subscribers and I got my silver play button, my grandmother was diagnosed with a rapid and aggressive cancer, and she passed away by the end of the summer. So for me, what was one of the like first great like real achievements, and I think that was also like the first year that I hit my first financial goal of 100K in a year. Financially as well. So I did 100K subscribers, and I did my first 100K year. And then I lost my grandmother, whom a lot of it wouldn't have been possible without, because she, when I was 13, bought me and my siblings and my mom, she bought us our first real computer and a year of AOL. And that is the gift that changed my life and helped me build those early skills and helped me be where I am today. So losing Nana at 100K and the first time that I made $100,000 in a year, like kind of, I didn't let rob me of all my joy, but it did present a mental and emotional barrier to what I associated with the accomplishment, because the entire year was overshadowed by grief. But I also still kept pushing and uploading content because I didn't really have another way to process things, and I've always used my work as my outlet for processing my thoughts and feelings, or even just coping or getting through things, because my work would give me something I could control. It would give me somewhere to put my energy that could have a positive outcome, because if I just gave vent to my feelings and my frustration, I would have to destroy. So it was better for me to have an outlet to create, because if I didn't have that to process my feelings, I would just process all of my feelings in the most destructive way instead of the most constructive way. So I needed something to put my energy and my feelings into, even if I wasn't like, how do I say this? Even if I wasn't even like, I it's one of those, I'm not someone who believes in faking a smile and faking positivity, but I would find something to take joy in and something that I could share so that I don't have to feel the worst of my feelings even for a few minutes, and so that I also don't have to put out something that also makes other people feel bad too along with me. Misery loves company, and I refuse. So I just wanted to do that. And that's what got me through it. And it still hurts. And so, yeah, every time I hit one of these milestones, because it's 100,000 every time, it still takes me back to 2016, and not always for the worst, because again, 2016 was such an amazing year for me, and not just because of the community supporting me and getting me to 100K that first time, but because it was also my first VidCon. It was also the year that I met some people that I'm still very fond of today, and I met them in real life for the first time. It was one of my biggest years, one of the first big years for me as a public speaker, and overcoming that fear of public speaking that held me back for so long as an introvert. And I met some of my closest friends for the first time. I met people that I had admired from afar from the first time that year. And, it really meant something to me. And so even in the scope of all of that lost, I found beautiful moments and beautiful things. And I found people to support me, and I found people to support. And so, that's been true every year, and every year since. There's always something, and you have to understand in life, whatever your goals, ambitions, and your dreams are, there will always be something that comes up that challenges you. And it can either become an excuse, it can become a reason not to do something, or it can become or it could become every reason to do something. There were times that I was so depressed or so down, or I'd get a bad comment and I just want to stop. But I didn't, because I also would not have all of these moments if I did at any point stop. And I also wouldn't have gotten to see so many people that I've helped and what happened for their lives if I stopped. And it's not what my grandmother would have wanted. She always wanted to see me at my best and to use my gifts. And so that's why she got us the computer. She went into debt to buy us a computer, and she knew that she didn't understand technology. She didn't understand any of that. She grew up in an era without any of that. And she came to this country with nothing, but she wanted better for us. And so, how dare I not make the most of that? So, there are people who won't always understand what drives me, or why I want more, or why I seek wealth or power, or to share things, or to even help people and teach money. But or to teach how to do creativity. There were so many people in my family and so many people that I know that they don't get to do what they love every day. My grandmother came to this country with nothing and worked in a toy factory while studying for her nursing degree. She worked at a hospital for literally more than my whole lifetime and retired on, a pension that was just barely enough. And thank God I became successful enough in her last years to, help make her life as comfortable as possible, and for her to get to see, her grandchild be successful and be the person that could do some of these things, and do things that other people in the family hadn't gotten to do. I got to actually be a successful creative, even though plenty of people have artistic talent far beyond me in our family. I'm the only one who got to actually make a living at it for real. And that mattered. And it's something that mattered to her, and it's something she wanted for me. And a lot of people may not understand that the worst things that happen to you don't always define you for the worst. Sometimes it's every reason for you to do better And it's every reason for you to give more of yourself, because how can you not?
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Be sure to leave us 5 stars. Don't forget to subscribe. No, that was really inspiring and motivating. I would say, like, even on a personal level, because I mean, I'm dealing with my own stuff, which isn't necessarily like, it doesn't really relate directly to like work and YouTube and stuff, but it is kind of like personal things that I kind of feel, you know, kind of stop me from doing stuff. And it is hard, and I have to hear things like that, you know. I have to hear stuff like it, even the bad things and the hurdles and the struggles equate to something much larger, and can help you, guide you down the path that you want to be on, or that you should be on. And I think it's important to hear that, you know, even when you're doing well, you know. I think it's a constant reminder of remembering where you are, where you came from, and why you are where you are, because it's a driving factor of why you continue to be a paid creative, why you continue with your YouTube channel, regardless of, you know, anything negative that has happened or the struggles that you've faced. You have a purpose, you have something that drives you and compels you to continue to work and to try to accomplish all of those goals that you've set for yourself. So I think it's special, you know, because it's not just I'm just doing it for XYZ. It's like you have multiple reasons, and they're all valid reasons, you know. And I think it makes it more special, because it's not just a thing that you just started just because, you know. It's not vapid, and that's important.
Yeah, that's actually the best way to put it. It's valid instead of vapid.
Right. We should put that on a shirt.
I feel like everyone listening hopefully found that really like inspiring. And like Roberto, I don't know if we were live when you're saying this, but one of your goals this year was to share more of your personal story and like interests.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just stuff like this. I know you know this, but like this is really going to impact people, because they might not know this part of your story. So hopefully people listening get a little bit more of background info, because
yeah, maybe at some point next year we can actually start cutting up clips from the show, which we promised to do at the beginning.
I think I think part of it was we were waiting for the channel to get monetized or something.
Right. And then just letting somebody else handle it.
Yeah, for real though. But yeah,
yeah.
it is and it has been a goal of mine to tell more and share more of my story. I've been doing it here with you guys. I've been doing it on my podcast, and I've been doing it in like other ways through my content, whether it's Instagram or like even some of my Twitter stuff, even though Twitter is the most out of context platform there is. But my for my 500K video, which I think might, because like I'm still debating, actually, believe it or not, editing a different video for tonight, but then putting out a 500K video tomorrow.
Have you finished the 500K one?
Huh?
Have you finished the other one?
No, but I might, like, if I don't do it tomorrow, I might literally just put it out for New Year's Day, to be honest, because that might be like a really good kickoff video. But in that video, and I want to keep it somewhat short, but I want to cover a lot of ground in it, and I want it to be like maybe somewhere between a 5 and 8 minute video. I want to tell that story that I just shared with you guys in a super concise way, as far as even leading with what my experience at 100K was like, and, you know, about my grandmother. And then I want to share some encouragement for creators about like striving and overcoming, and that like there will like, okay, 2020 was hard for everybody, but there will always be something, you know, there'll always be something to overcome. There will always be something between you and what you want, and what you do about it. And what you do about it is what matters.
Yeah. And I think I've taken those steps. I mean, you guys kind of know. And there's you know, it's very personal stuff, and that's the only reason why I don't talk about it. Because
it's super personal.
Yeah. And I feel like there's not really a place for that yet for me to discuss it publicly.
I don't think you should feel like you have to before you are ready. You guys know that I don't do anything before, like, for the most part, I don't do anything before I'm ready, unless I'm trying to push myself.
Right. And I think too, I'm very much of the proponent of save yourself in order to save other people. And I think that you know, this year was definitely a lot of combating those hurdles and obstacles. And there've been some really big steps that I've taken, and I feel like I'm going in the right direction. And I think that I feel like one of the things that I look forward to every week is talking to you guys, mainly because it's like there's this, and like right before, it's like, okay, now I have to like get everything ready. I have to like figure out what our title is. What do we talk about? Like I have to figure out the tweet, and it's like all this stuff of like kind of thinking, okay, now I have to, you know, be on camera. I have to be in front, like behind the microphone. Like it's all this stuff, like these steps that I have to like mentally prepare. But then as soon as like you guys show up and I see your faces, like we just start hanging out, and I feel like 60% better instantly. Right. It's like it's like a snap, like it just happens from 1 minute to the next. And then usually by the end of it, like after we've talked, and if we keep talking afterwards, it's kind of it motivates me because one, I don't feel as alone. And I don't mean that in like a physical sense, but I mean that in like
you don't feel the sense of isolation.
Right. And like the struggles and the kind of the obstacles that we each go through, even though we've had different obstacles that we've had to overcome, there is some overlap. And I feel like that kind of thing helps me to put things in perspective and understand that I'm not alone, and that there is a way out, and that there are ways to combat the problems that I see on a daily or weekly basis. And I think that when we go live, we also present that to people, even if we're not talking about something directly, in an indirect way, we are helping people understand and get that perspective that they need in order to overcome certain challenges, or even just to get that extra motivation that they need in order to continue working towards their goals and their milestones.
I think that one of the things, and I don't want to speak for the audience, but you guys can chime in the chat. Like, I think that's something that's helpful for the audience is be able to see as friends that we can communicate and not like judge each other out of context, even though we have radically different experiences and points of view.
Unless Audrey hasn't seen something.
Yeah, hold on.
If Audrey has not seen or heard a song, or is aware of a reference, or doesn't know about some actor that was alive 50 years ago.
That's some good-natured ribbing. That's some good natured ribbing. And like, that's for her own benefit, so that she could, exactly.
I wonder how her mother feels about that.
Oh my God. My mom actually thinks it's really funny.
See?
Wow.
Her mom doesn't take us out. Hi, Mom. See, Mama Ember doesn't judge us, Mama Ember doesn't judge us and doesn't take us out of context and understand that it's teasing with love. We are laughing with her.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of laughing at her, but I'll digress.
It's good
You're
natured.
supposed to hide that, Romina. You're supposed to lie.
No, excuse me. Enemies will stab you in the back. Friends will
Whoa.
stab you in the front,
In the face.
in the face.
In the
I've
face.
never heard this expression before.
That's a thing people say,
Yeah,
isn't it? Something like
is.
that.
As
Friends
of today.
stab you in the face, not in the back. I've
Enemies
never
stab
heard
you in the
someone
back.
say
Friends will
that.
do it in the face.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
saying
that's
as
the
of
thing.
today.
Never heard someone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the point is that because we are your friend, we will tell it to you to your face and not
Yeah.
behind your back.
Okay.
So that's the point here. But also, I mean, the point, just to kind of do my famous transition here. The point of this episode is to talk about goals a little bit. We've set the tone. The title of this episode is "You're Setting Your Goals Wrong." So
Just to trigger the audience, we don't actually.
I know how
mean it,
to I know how to
guys.
get some value out of Audrey from this. Like
Oh, no.
Audrey, so since
Ooh.
people are saying their goals wrong, what are goals that you set
Oh,
last
no.
year?
Wait.
What are
no.
goals you set last year that you actually
No.
achieved this year? Like what are goals you are super proud of that you achieved this
Yeah.
year?
The
And
problem
how
with-
did you achieve those goals?
The problem with my goals is I always set them unreasonably high and then I get disappointed, which I want to change this year. I've actually changed my goal setting philosophy this year. But one big goal I did accomplish was move to LA. So
Sweet.
that's one. I don't have my goals.
And you
now.
didn't
I
let the
do any,
pandemic
like-
stop you.
No.
See,
It
you
almost
overcame
did.
a real obstacle, but you overcame a real obstacle that
Yeah.
wasn't in your head. You overcame an
Yeah.
obstacle that wasn't in your head to do something extraordinarily challenging, extraordinarily brave, and that was something you've been looking forward to for a very long time.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
also used to set like number goals every year. I don't think I've ever hit a number goal just because
Let's take an
I'm like
example.
aim
Maybe-
high and then I
yeah,
just
maybe you're
never-
just aiming.
What's
a
an
little bit
example,
too-
though?
I think are we talking about in the past or going forwards example?
Well, recently, what were like number goals that like you
that you didn't
set
hit.
that you didn't hit?
I think my goal for this year was like, okay, this is really random, but it was 34K for YouTube because
Subscribers?
yes, which is very specific, and it's because I think it was I don't know where I heard this. I could be wrong, but I think I heard on a podcast of someone that when they hit 34K, they were able to go full time.
Mhm.
So I've always had this number in my head for some reason, even though it's very debatable.
but I
It
could- but
depends
I-
on
as-
the person.
As the guy who helps creator careers, like
Wow.
like I could have
don't-
told you.
I know the logic; it doesn't make sense, but
I could've
whatever.
told
That
you.
was
But like, see, but this is one of those things. Like, okay, so this goes into the podcast title. How like you're setting goals wrong.
yes.
There are
I
s-
think that was a wrong goal to set. But
So
I'll
first
let
of
you-
all, like the fact that was somebody else's experience, there was no depth into why they were able to do that, especially since that's like a
Mhm.
financial goal that was then
Yeah.
tied to some other factor, and there was no explanation for why, because it's entirely possible that if you understood the circumstances and if they explained that, then
yeah,
it's
it
like, well,
definitely
maybe
doesn't make sense.
then maybe. But the thing is, if you understand how, like, because we're talking about money at that point, like how and what number allows them to be a full-time creator and where they are and
Yeah.
why that, like, okay, if you understand why, you like, oh, well, for me, that might be something that's achievable at 20K. Or maybe for me, it would take 50K because of these other things that happen if I get to 50K. Because the reason you'd have to think is like, okay, if I get to 50K subscribers on YouTube, then what else would have had to have happened for me to get to 50K subscribers on YouTube from where I am? How much content would I theoretically have made? That might play a role in like how many average views am I getting at 50K? That might play a role in why I'm able to be a full-time creator, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's like,
I mean,
so you'd have to think of, if this is true, what else would have to be true is something that if you're going to look at goals sometimes from well, if so and so had this, that's what I should be aiming for. You have to understand, well, so and so has this because of all these other things that also have to be true.
Yeah. I know. It was just looking back, it doesn't really make that much sense. But yeah, I did it anyway. But I think now going forwards, my goals are more habit-based, that have the end goal of like making other goals happen, but they're not fixed in stone. Does that make sense?
Okay. Oh, so steps to like, okay, here is my destination. Here are all the things that it takes to get to that place.
Yeah. Like instead of saying I want to hit X amount of subscribers, my goal instead is I want to post this amount of times per month.
I like that because that's something you can control. Like,
yeah.
The only reason that, like, okay, so when someone gets to a certain level in YouTube, I would argue that at a certain point in your career, you can set subscriber goals partly as a foregone conclusion just to have something to look forward to, but they're not really goals. They're a pattern that you're acknowledging. Remember, I told you guys there was a certain point where I said, okay, I think before the end of the year, I'll be at 500K. So I didn't really aggressively push to get to 500K, because if I did aggressively push, I would have been posting every day in December. And I would have hit it a lot sooner, and it would have been a thing. I would have posted every day in November. I would have posted many more videos than I did this year. My goal for this year was to do at least 100 videos. I did 90. So like I came up a little short. But I also, it's really close, and it was a rough year. And there were almost 2 months this year that I took off completely. So all things considered, with nerfing a lot of my momentum and potential because I just couldn't emotionally cope.
Right.
And yet I still ended up on track. So it's more for me, it was like, okay, I was on track with getting very close to my content goal and then very close to my expectations in terms of how far I should have come in terms of subscribers. And that's why I discourage subscriber count goals from people, even though some people think it's hypocritical of me, because they're not, in my mind, healthy early in your career or when you haven't been at it enough to see a pattern where you can know what you're doing that impacts that goal and makes it more likely.
So I think I never, I feel like when I did set subscriber goals, they weren't ones that were super like big, minus the one that I did like the last year, which was like a really crazy one that I just kind of like threw out there. But I even said like in my video about that it was like, this is like a really crazy thing and I don't think that this is gonna work, but I'm just throwing it out there anyway, just for fun. But prior to that, like I was just keeping track of when I hit certain milestones, like when I got like 500, 1,000, 5,000, like when I got certain ones, like I was keeping track of like the dates so that I could see if there was some kind of pattern. And then also because then I can put it on my channel and then kind of put like a question mark next to like the next milestone. And that's as far as like goal setting was for like subscriber stuff. But I feel like when it comes to actual like personal goals, like the way that I do it or had done it for like the past 4 years now, I've used Trello. And so I actually have a board that's just for yearly goals. And in it, I keep the goals that I've accomplished. And so I actually have a board where I can scroll back through the years and I can see which goals I've accomplished each year. And what I do is when I set goals, I have one column that's just for work goals, and then I have another column that's for personal goals. And so like under work goals, it might be income related stuff or the type of work that I want to do, or like how many subscribers I might want, like stuff like that. And then like under personal stuff, it might be like finance stuff. It might be like, working out. Like one year I wanted to be able to touch my toes because for my entire life, I'd never been able to bend over and touch my toes. And by the end of that year, I was able to do that and even like put my palms on the floor. So it was like that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that I have on my goals. And I try to not add more than 5 for each column. So typically, each column will have, the average is usually around 4. But I never add more than 5 because I feel like it's always too much. I learned that the very first year that I started doing doing goals. I just listed like a ton. And then by the end of the year, I was like, okay, I only really accomplished like 4 or 5 of these. So that's what I'm going to set for next year. And so now I pretty much accomplish everything that I kind of put out, unless it's like I typically have like very realistic numbers and stuff that's attainable. And then maybe I'll have one that's like a throwaway, like one that's kind of like go big or go home. Just to kind of always keep me ambitious and like always set the bar a little bit higher than what's attainable, you know? But for the most part, I think because of my ability to learn from experience and be able to analyze stuff, I'm just very good at that kind of stuff. Like I know how long it actually takes me to eat. I know how long it actually takes me to shower and like, just doing tasks because like I'm aware, like once I do something once or twice, like I'm already aware. And so for the next time I'm able to plan because I just like, I know. And so that applies to like a lot of different stuff, which helps with the goal stuff because I hardly ever set a goal that I can't hit within a certain time frame,
Yeah.
That's basically the opposite of me.
I'll tell you guys something weird I'm doing that's visually interesting because it might be like long term, I kind of like I have to find a better like I have to come up with like a title to explain kind of the gamer's guide to life philosophy of like life being a video game. But like in terms of lifestyle design, like a video game, I kind of came up with like how in modern video games there are adventure games. You build out kind of your talent tree and your skill tree and stuff like that. And you build on those abilities over time. And there's like, and also how, you have money or some currency in the game. You also have equipment, things like that. I'm like, oh, this is for real life, right? So I've been looking at my skill tree and I've been kind of looking at, all right, physical goals. Like actual things that in terms of I need to strengthen my body and get durability and like things that work on myself. So like health goals, basically, you can look at it like that in terms of what physical capabilities and attributes do I want? And there's like a whole branch of like, okay, the physical things I'm like capable of doing as a human being. So like that, and how do I work on those things, right? Then there's like my mental acuity. So like these are things I want to learn and understand and have further knowledge of, and then there's my my creative one, which you could almost think of like, okay, magic. You could because it's my creation skills. So it's like, or you could think of it as my crafting skills. So here's my crafting tree. Here's what I can make. Here's things I can make. Okay. Here's my specialized skills and knowledge and wisdom and everything like that. So it's my, my mental discipline tree, So like here are the skills and things I would have to be able to have knowledge of and understand and what I want to cultivate and what I want to learn. But then here's my crafting capabilities. And so that's all of my creative talents. And so like my creative talents have different branches. Like, okay, here is the visual design branch and everything like that. And here are all the software and things that I have to have mastery of to be able to do this and everything like that. So like for me, it's like, okay, so there's the design branch. Here's the video branch. Here's the photography branch, Those are the skills that I have to fill out and buff up. Okay. So like, that's all my crafting. And then like, there's knowledge that I need to attain. And that might be like things I need to learn about taxes or investing or like all of these like other things I have to have knowledge of. And then there's the physical stuff, like, being able, all those stuff that comes from working out, the stuff that comes from, like I said, when COVID's over, I'm gonna do the Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing up the street. You know, like there's a whole
Right.
But then there's other things that aren't combat skills, that are physical skills. So some of
Right.
that might even include cooking.
So it's kind of like you take the bigger goals and you break them down into manageable tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really smart way of kind of going about it too. I learned how to do that in the second year. Because like setting, for example, I'm going to throw in Devious Monkey in the chat told us what his goals are for next year. Get my credit score back over 700 by paying things off, not buy any cameras or tablets the entire year, have a savings account with an actual balance, and not be so angry with my day job. So those are some pretty good goals. And so I feel like when taking goals like that, for example, like getting your credit score back to over 700, what does that exactly entail? So like for me, when I was doing that, I actually broke it down by what I owed in the different credit cards or the loans. Like what exactly was it that was making my credit score go down? And then setting each of those things as different goals. So like goal 1 is like get rid of X amount of dollars from this credit card. Goal 2, get rid of X amount of dollars from this credit card. So it was like, it was more manageable than saying, for example, get rid of $30,000 of debt. Like, you know, you write that on a goal board and you're going to freak out every time you see it, because it's like, it's such a huge number and you're like, well, the only way I can possibly do that is if I win the lottery. Like, how do I do that? Whereas if you just see like a thing that just says, bring down, you know, $4,000 of debt, you're like, oh, $4,000, that's more manageable. And you know, it's like it's those little wins that help you get throughout the whole year in order to achieve the bigger goal.
My savings and investing goals come down to daily, weekly, monthly, like financial actions. Primary example, because of like my Acorns account, no matter what, there'll be because of literally a daily withdrawal that comes out of my bank account. Every year, $10,000 will be invested into my SEP IRA through that, because every single day a certain amount of money comes out of my bank account. Like it's automated. I will like, so like certain money comes out just to literally have that goal be accomplished. So because, you know, $35 a day comes out of my account, it's like, okay, that's gonna happen. Or is it 30? Yeah, it was like $30 a day. It's like, I think it was like, it's like, okay, that's gonna happen because I just broke it into math. When like another goal that people can do to get to $1,000 in savings is they can do the 52-week challenge. Week 1, $1. Week 2, $2. Week 3, $3. All the way.
No.
Yeah.
What helps with that too is doing the envelope, having a little envelope and putting the cash in there. Because you kind of like set it aside, at least for like the first month. Because then it's like, it's there. And like, if you
some
have
people
the cash,
use a jar and it actually makes them feel good to see the jar filling up. And then they can't resist they resist the urge of, no, I will not deplete the jar. I have to, you know, like,
you just like keep, because it's because you're seeing your progress bar go up, and it's
exactly,
it's fun. Yeah.
Gamification. You got to see that progress bar go up.
You see. Audrey's being a little quiet here. Do you want to read what Chef's what his goals are for next year?
My goals: improve my What Chef food channel, complete 4 short films on filmmaking channel, complete acting course, go back to martial arts, start film pitching ideas channel
/podcast.
Yes.
Those are some pretty ambitious goals.
Big goal.
I'm not going to discourage you.
Yeah.
No, it's good. 4 short films sounds like.
Well, yeah, but it depends on you don't know what that means,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
depends on
Maybe
what
short
you're
films could be like 60 seconds, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know what that entails, but
Main thing is to just make a plan for all of these things and make a commitment to them and like find some mechanism that holds you accountable. This podcast happened every week without fail because we made a commitment to each other and we look forward to seeing each other. My solo podcast was not as easy to maintain because I did not have that mechanism of accountability built into
right,
it.
because you didn't have two women yelling at you.
Yeah, basically. So,
I mean, we can do that for your podcast too, or I
that
can.
could help. Like that could help.
Yeah, do
you
you
want?
need us
I
to
can do that.
I might
No
like that might help.
problem.
That might truly help. But the other
the
the other thing that with my financial goals that helped was automating it, because then it's like okay, the decision's out of my hands for the most part. Like so that's sometimes a thing. So for financial goals, if you make them automatic, sometimes that's helpful. For me, even with like credit card payments, and yeah, you need the income to be able to support it. Putting them on auto pay helps keep me accountable and keeps like those things right. But the discipline for my Amazon card, because I can justify business expenses so readily of like, oh, I'll pay it off. Oh, I pay it off. It creeps up. I pay it. I always end up paying it down before any interest hits it. But I'm not as disciplined as I should be when it comes to not acquiring more gear.
right.
It's like mentally because of like things like, oh, I need it for the business. Oh, it's a tax write-off. Oh, I can do a review. I make a lot of excuses to not be disciplined when it comes to gear acquisition syndrome. So
Gear acquisition syndrome. Don't
yeah.
sugarcoat it by giving it a
gas.
fancy name.
No, that's what we call it in the tech community. We call it that in the tech community. It's
I
like,
realize that, Roberto, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's just sugarcoating.
Oh yeah, I'm still waiting on that
the actual problem.
A7S3 review. No, wasn't
No,
that
I did.
supposed to happen?
I did an A7S3 video for the main channel.
Oh my god,
You're missing it. Do you have notifications turned on?
What? I
Audrey?
don't know how I missed it. What?
But
I
anyway,
do want to bring up Connor in the chat. He mentioned I like putting action steps in my goals by using words like by or through, etc. So an example of one of his goals is in 2021, I want to create more experiences and events to remember by seeking out new things, plus living life more spontaneously. So that's pretty nice. It's very poetic and it's very artistic, but that does not work for me.
Same. That's what I was about to say. I was like, that sounds nice, but that, like, I need something actionable to act on.
Right. And something tangible where I can actually like mark it off. You know, I can cross it off the list. Like, go to the grocery store, get eggs. Done. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have an experience when I go to the grocery store. Like, I just want to get my food.
I like throwing 5 priorities up in my whiteboard and then crossing them off throughout the day, because that whiteboard is like sitting there in the room and it's like, okay, that's staring me in the face. It's like, did I cross that thing off? I need that satisfaction. And by setting like 5 major like priorities of, okay, this is going to happen today, it's like, it gives me a focus. There are other things that get done. Sure, I have a bigger to-do list than that, but just by having those 5 things, I don't feel as overwhelmed. And it motivates me and it gives me a central focus. But those 5 things are that day are part of a bigger plan for the week. That week is part of the goal for the month. The month is serving the year, you know?
I mean, I think it's good maybe to have like a mix. I see what Connor's saying. Like I'll have like
no, I
themes
understand what he's saying too. Don't get me wrong.
But that's different from like goals.
I'm just saying it doesn't work for me. I think it's very beautiful, and I would read
a list on Excel or Trello, or it doesn't work.
I need if my goals don't have formulas, then they aren't goals.
Like the Connor's goal is like the imaginary goal that I kind of fail at like constantly of like, don't be single. like Connor's goal reminds me of that goal I have in my head of like, oh well, don't be single. Like
right. It's kind of like when I first started, I would put things like be more flexible. And I was just like, well, what does that mean to me, right? And so it wasn't until I actually decided, well, one of the things that it defines flexibility to me is being able to bend down and touch my toes. And so it was a very simple thing that just started with that. And I figured out how to do it by looking up tricks, by looking up stretches that were specific to that area of the body. And so because I was able to be specific with my goal setting, I was able to accomplish it. I do want to mention another goal that some more goals that are in the chat here by Sophia Stephanie. Do you want to read it, Roberto, or should I read it?
Sophia says, do more spiritual practice, hike more, and first pick my favorite dish and learn how to cook it. I love
That's a really good one.
Yeah, I love that last one. Maybe I'll take that up. And then the hike more. I can
wow,
totally get
Roberto, we aren't here to steal the audience's goals.
Oh, I am. I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely
Roberto's just going through the comments like, "Ooh, I like this one. Check." Adding it to my goal list.
It's mine. Like the hike more. I've been doing that a bit. You guys have seen some of me using that to do camera lens test and get some B-roll and do some stuff. I've been doing that. I just ordered some binoculars off Amazon by not being disciplined because I want to do birding.
Oh.
Huh? Binoculars so that I can do birding.
Oh, okay.
Remember I told you I like
is that what binoculars are for? I thought they were for spying on neighbors.
No, it's for you know how I like
Don't look at me like that, Audrey. I know what you do.
You know, I was talking about that 70 to 200 millimeter lens. Like, well, with the binoculars, when it's a little warmer and the birds come back, when the swallows come back, catch a swallow. Oh my God. Remember Looney Tunes? Whenever they would sing that, yeah. But anyway, but so when it's warmer, like I'm in a really,
Yeah, when the birds come back, yeah.
When birds come back, like you've seen my neighborhood and like how we have that like those woods behind me, and then also I have that hiking trail up the way and stuff.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
have a lot of nature around you.
Exactly, I love that. So it's like I got the binoculars so that I can do birding with my telephoto lens because I want like that's encouraging me to go outdoors more, to hike more, to spend time in nature. And for me, I don't have to fully disconnect from technology to because like I enjoy nature through being able to capture it and being able to create a memory with a snapshot. And that's like that's something that does it for me. So I really like that hiking goal. I like the cooking goal. I did a little bit more of that this year until I didn't. And yeah, being more spiritual. I have reconnected with meditation this year. I'm still working on it, but for me, part of what's actually helped with that and chilling out and enjoying quiet time has
the
been
wine and the cheese. The wine and the cheese.
Has been working with my producer Frost FM on these music tracks that I've been dropping, the lo-fi music that I've been dropping on Spotify. Because that was a goal. You guys know I wanted to get into, I want more royalties. I want this, I want that. And I was like, I want to get into music. I want to get a producer to do that. And like, I did it. I followed through. I'm a Spotify verified artist now. And I've got music in Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, like, and people have been really feeling it. And it's like, you know, and so being able to listen to this dope music has helped me get to my quiet place and to meditate.
I like this quote.
Yeah, would you like to read it, Audrey?
I did it until I didn't. It's good. It's
yeah, I
did until I didn't.
Until I didn't. Roberto Blake, 2020, in the last 24 hours of 2020.
Wait. No.
What?
Yes. No. It's not the last 24 hours yet.
It's one of the last hours. In the last hours of 2020.
Yeah, I did it.
Don't take this away from me.
Wait, so did we get into what our goals are for next year?
Not yet.
No, not really.
Let's do it. Let's do that. Let's start with you, Audrey.
Okay.
Yeah, since you're so enthusiastic.
Dude, we're saying we're just gonna lecture people on how to set goals, and then okay,
Well,
whatever.
no, I mean Roberto's
Wah,
over here
wah.
stealing goals. Roberto's
Yes.
literally going through the
Oh, okay.
audience's goals and just adding them to his own.
Yeah.
Okay. I think my biggest goal is to post 6 times a month on my
Ooh.
channel.
Videos?
6 is specific. That's interesting. Why
Yeah,
6?
how many? Like,
At least for the beginning of 2021, I want to be doing 4 Playing with Fires and 2 other per month. So
okay.
trying to find a way to make that doable because it's hard to come up with ideas all the time for that. But I think I have. And then because I feel like that goal encapsulates a lot, because through doing that, a lot of the other stuff will hopefully fall like
For a
happen.
month. For a month. So the
6
thing
a
is,
month.
no, 4 Playing with Fires.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Playing with
Yes.
fire is something specific. So playing with fire is giving yourself basically a weekly challenge.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Take it a little bit at a time. So start being thoughtful about like 10 or 12 interesting challenges, 10 or 12 things you see out there in the creator community and say, "Ooh, that looks interesting. That looks fun." Because then that means the first couple of weeks you can pick which ones feel like the most fun and go for them.
Yeah.
And then you
A lot
have
of them
that.
are time sensitive, so
Hmm.
a
How
lot
are
of them
they
are like
time sensitive? How are they time sensitive? Don't do a trend.
Yeah. I don't have to do all of them on trends, but I like to also make some of them on trends. I don't know.
Like, set yourself up where, again, if you have 10 of them to where I could have fun with this, if a trend comes up, you could always just push one of them that you have on the list back.
Yeah, just put it on pause.
Yeah.
But if you go ahead and 10 at a time are looking 10 at a time at what would be fun to do, then you've got, 2.5 weeks mapped out, and there's room for spontaneity, because the thing is, if it's fun or interesting now, that doesn't mean it won't be fun or interesting to you later. It doesn't need to be timely to the audience, as long as, again, because the part of the point of playing with fire is ultimately you're going to end up picking relevant creators anyway. You're going to end up picking famous, like, relevant creators that people your age watch and know about. Yeah. So the thing is, they are never going to go out of fashion anytime soon.
Yeah.
And you're not exactly picking people likely to be canceled.
No. I'll tell you guys about an idea I have after.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, that's like one of, I think, the biggest ones, because I think that's where I was really struggling this year, was just finding a way to do Playing with Fire consistently that made sense for my channel, but also that I would enjoy doing, because that's the whole, otherwise I'd do something else.
Right.
So that's kind of my big one. And then
do you have a plan of attack for that? Like, do you already have like a backlog?
I have 2 ideas that I have banked already. So I want to do what Roberto said and get up to like maybe like 8 or something, because
right.
Then it would take off a lot of literally 75% of these videos is the ideas. So
if you have 10 ideas on deck, then the ability to at least not have to come up with something on the spot takes the pressure and the timing.
Take away like most of the pressure to actually do it, because the biggest reason I don't end up doing them is because I just don't have an idea that either I like or that makes sense to make, and I think people will like. So
right,
I'm going to try and get rid of that hurdle, and I think it will be a lot easier. So
is that, do you have any other goals that you want to share?
I have some more like personal goals. Like, I want to work out 4 times a week.
Doing what?
I never set goals for because like with running, I used to set mile time goals, but I've stopped doing that because I don't really care.
Now it's more distance, about the distance. Yeah,
it's more just about consistency. So I just want to be working out 4 times a week. I wanted to start lifting more, but can't do that. So I'm just going to stick to 4
Why
times.
can't you do that?
What am I supposed to lift? My pillow? Like it's.
Do you
go
guys-
to
do you guys have a garage?
Amazon. You go
Do you
to
guys have a garage?
Amazon.com and you buy weights.
Weights.
Could. I mean, we have some weights, but I want to lift like heavy.
Start
So
with
you
kettlebells. Buy a kettlebell. Buy a kettlebell. That's a good way to
I'm
start.
bored of my kettlebell. Guys,
Huh?
It's been a year of the kettlebell. I'm starting to get bored of the kettlebell.
Oh, she's
But, I
bored.
mean-
That's what's happening.
No. I like it's fine. I'm just gonna. I figure it out. But
Mhm.
that's one. I just kind of narrowed it down to 4 times a week.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
And
Yeah.
I do this every year, like on the last day of the year before I go to
Mhm.
bed. So I haven't completely thought this through yet, but those are just some of the ones I have off the top of my head. Okay,
What
this
do
is
you-
unrelated, but I was talking to my dad this
Mhm.
morning or yesterday, and he was saying that his goal for next year is to do 500 push-ups a day.
That's
My dad
insane.
is in his mid-70s. Okay, this is I'm like,
You need- can
hold
you-
on, what?
You need to tell him
It's
to
making me
calm
feel bad
down.
about my-
Can you please tell him
I'm like,
to
I'm gonna do
sit down
1,000 a day just
and
'cause.
relax?
So I
Tell
don't know
him
what
to
I'm
take
gonna
a
do
break.
with those. 500 seems a little excessive, but then I need to do better, so I don't know what to do.
Wow, you really gonna start that? You're just gonna start. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I need to do better than my 70-some-year-old father. That's really what you really want to do that, Audrey?
I mean, it would be. I would lose that battle. There's no way.
Also, well, yeah,
Oh,
but
there,
also,
my cat's in the chat. There he is.
uh-oh.
See? Yes, excessive. There we go.
Hi, Papa Ember.
Excuse me, Mr. Steve.
I'm gonna all right, so I need to do
Excessive.
I need to do my goal. Romina needs to do her goal, and then we've got to actually sign off
Oh man.
Yeah.
for reasons.
All right. Yeah, so mine's going to be pretty quick because my goals are mainly like they're very specific and I don't really want to share them publicly.
Yeah.
But I guess one of them is for dividends. I'd like to there's an X amount of number that I want to reach in yearly dividends. And I'm like a quarter of the way there. So it's kind of like that one just relies on me being able to invest. The another one which I feel comfortable talking about is preparing one book to publish, which means that one's kind of I have half of the outline written, so I'd like to complete the outline and then start writing. So I don't have ideas to actually finish a rough draft of the book in this next coming year, but at least start it and get like a dent into it. So I already have the outline halfway done, so I'm pretty much getting ready for that one. And then another one is for my credit score. I actually want to get it over 800. So that's kind of like a big goal, and that's reliant on some of the other goals, which I don't really want to talk about.
Yeah. Obviously I want to invest more. That's a big goal for me. I want to go more aggressive in investing in my retirement. And then I want to write a book by my birthday, mid-June. So I want to get a book out by my birthday, or at least have it ready to publish. So there's that. And then I also want to just be more consistent with
Sorry,
my
I'm
content.
not laughing at you. I'm
I know.
laughing at Audrey's dad.
Wait, can I
I know,
just
but I
say
have to
something real
explain because
fast
if somebody
before we
is
move on?
listening, they're gonna think.
My dad just texted me and he says that he's actually, in fact, early 70s. I was wrong.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
So, sorry, Papa.
Wow.
Ember.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Steve.
But yeah, so
no.
like I want to be more consistent with content. I want to do my podcast every week, and I want to do 3 videos on my main channel.
Wait,
every
I
week
want to go
without
back to the
missing
book thing. Is it your which book?
YouTube money.
Is this the game?
Oh.
Oh.
Man, that's not the book I want.
I have to
Roberto.
write the YouTube money book. The game book will come later, like much later, because I have to like figure it out and I have to design
Man,
some stuff for it.
Come on.
I have to flesh that
get your
idea
act
out
together.
more. No, I have to flesh that idea out more.
Get
It's
your
like,
act together. You're slacking off here.
I have to flesh out that idea in terms of how I communicate it better, because like I need to make it easy for people to understand. And that's really hard. So
See, all right. So here's Connor. Here's Connor coming in here with his buys and throughs and whatnot, his poetic words.
Mina, why are you roasting Connor?
I'm just gonna, you know what? When we first started this podcast, Connor came in here and he was dabbing every other comment. So I think it's okay.
no, I like what he has to say here.
Yeah. So, all right. So Connor says, I find goals with numbers interesting. If you say you don't make videos if you don't make 6 videos a month, then you feel bad. But if you flip it and don't put a number of uploads in your goal, then it's hard to stick to it. So this is.
Sorry.
All right. What do you want to say about this, Audrey?
No, the reason why I have to put a number to it, even if it's like a smaller stepping stone, because otherwise it's too open-ended. And even though I might feel good, because at the end of the year I might be like, oh, well, I guess I did that. But I want to have some like concrete.
It's not a commitment if it's not specific.
Right. Yeah, no, and I think it helps too. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, like when you're watching a game, you know, when you're watching a game, you see the points that each team has, and whoever has the most points is the winner. And so that number is a very clear definition of what you are attaining. So to me, when I see a number, I'm able to hit it, and then I feel good because it's a tangible thing. Like I've seen that I've hit it, you know? It's not based on a feeling, it's based on a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good place for us to end it. It's based on a fact and not a feeling.
Agreed. Boom. You're
All
welcome.
Right. You guys are very welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this out with our outro. But I do want to thank everybody for joining us tonight for the last podcast of 2020. I want to wish everyone well in 2021. We are rooting for your success, and we know that you are going to make a specific commitment to the things that you want in life. And we hope we've just encouraged or inspired you in some way, shape, or form, and that you've had fun and a lot of laughs along the way. So now I'm going to close out the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the No Assembly Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing and where I steal your goals for my own selfish game. Thank you for listening. This has been your trio of hosts, starting with Audrey, Goal Chaser Ember, Romina, Resolutions, and of course your Dark Lord of the Internet, the Grinch who stole Christmas, New Year's, and Three Kings Day, Roberto Blake. Thank you for listening to the No Assembly Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Please like, subscribe, and review, and we will see you next year. Take care. Nop.